It's time for The Local with your host and realtor, Katie McKinney.
Hey guys, it's Katie. Today I've got Cody Earle on the podcast. Due to the coronavirus, obviously, he's not sitting next to me, but we are lucky enough to have him on the phone. Cody, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So Cody is a plant manager with Harvest Energy Services. Is that right, Cody?
That's correct.
That's an official term right there, plant manager. What exactly do you do?
So I'm the company representative at the plant, or the wind farm, as they're usually called. So I manage overall aspects of the logistics and maintenance and of the plant, right? Anything that goes there. I'm the company representative for all those things, right? So I manage, GE, who's the service provider who actually services the turbines and keeps them running and keeps them maintenance. The BOP, which is the roads, road maintenance, the vegetation, the substation, the transmission lines, all those things fall underneath my scope as the company representative there at the site. So
you're the go-to man then. And also the one that takes all the heat, right, if something goes wrong. No, that's the manager. Exactly. Yeah. So Cody, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Amarillo, Texas. So I was born and raised in the Amarillo area, and went to school out at Cal Farley's Boys Ranch. And then when I got out from high school, I got out and I actually tried to play football for a year. Didn't do college that well, and ended up in the Army and spent most of my professional career in the Army. I spent almost 10 years in the Army. And coming out of the Army, I was able to get lucky enough to get into wind. I started as a wind technician for about 3 months in the Guymon area, and then moved into management. I was hired as a manager for a plant there near Goodwell, Oklahoma, and been managing plants since then. So for about almost 6 years now, I've been in the wind industry.
Excellent. And thank you for your service, of course. What all did you do in the Army exactly? I guess you did a lot of different things, but what was your kind of focus?
So my job, if you will, in the Army was I was a bomb tech. So I was a explosive ordnance disposal technician. Disarming bombs was my profession before I got out. So
neat. That's why when I first met Cody, he pretty much said, "Hey, I bomb tech." I went, "What? That's an awesome job." I don't know if it's necessarily awesome, but I thought you were pretty cool after that, most definitely. So thanks again for your service. And how did you get to Woodward?
Wind. My career in wind, there was a position that came open. I was managing a wind farm right outside Perryton, Texas, and an opportunity came open to manage one with a smaller company, Harvest, here outside of Woodward, and I took that position, and so we moved my family from Hooker, Oklahoma to Woodward. So
excellent. Yes, his wife Lindsay, and then three cute kids. Most definitely. I'm glad to have you guys here. Good. So what are if you can tell us, this might be top secret, I'm not sure if I'm asking the right question, but what are a few upcoming projects or jobs going on in Northwest Oklahoma that you can kind of share? Because, people talk about, they say, oh, well, this wind farm's going up, north of town or south of town. And, for Woodward, obviously, that typically means, tax revenue, sales tax revenue, maybe, RV parks are going to be more full, hotels may be more full. Is there anything kind of, I know it's a weird situation right now with the coronavirus and different markets, but are there any upcoming projects that you can share with us?
Yeah, so none for my company specifically in this area. We do have a phase 2 for the wind farm that I'm at. It's currently in planning, but nothing established. Nothing's going to happen in 2020, or maybe not even in 2021. But from just knowledge of what's going on in the area, I will say that I know that there is a pretty good-sized wind farm going in north of Bowling Springs which could bring, construction-wise, could bring thousands of jobs, temporary jobs, and then, permanent jobs, probably anywhere from, 7 to 12 permanent positions at that wind farm. I believe the company that, from the press releases and things, I think that's going to be Eon that's building that company. So, or building that wind
plant.
farm. And so there's and there's several other projects that are going in Oklahoma. You can always access them. Oklahoma is really good about listing them on their, I think it's Oklahoma Energy webpage. You can go on there and access them. You can see all the new farms that have been tagged to come in this year. But in this immediate area, that wind farm is one that I know. There's also another one going out by Beaver, Oklahoma, that could offer, have some opportunity for jobs. And those are probably going to either kick off, June, July timeframe and be ending up around December, January of 2021. So, on the construction side, and then obviously those will be there for the foreseeable future.
Of course. Yeah. And I mean, as far as I know, that, like last year, there was a lot of different legislation and or talk, discussions, intense discussions about wind energy in Oklahoma and kind of its place in it. Obviously, one of the big topics was how the wind energy or wind farms were helping the schools. Can you, if your knowledge on that, just based on your knowledge, what other advantages? Obviously, there's the sales tax and that sort of thing, but what other advantages are there for, smaller communities and like Woodward, because we are technically a smaller community compared to, Oklahoma City. But what are some advantages that you see about having wind energy or wind farms here locally?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll speak to what I know and leave the rest for the people that know more than I do. But the economic impact of a wind farm, one is the jobs, right? Permanent jobs and getting influxing money into the economy through through providing salaries and providing benefits to employees. But the other part of it is the tax benefits from having a revenue source of that size. If we talk about, for instance, Fort Supply, right? Fort Supply has two main tax generators in that area, one of them being the correctional facility there, right?
Yes.
And the other one being the wind farm, right? That wind farm generates a lot of tax revenue that has helped build, I know that it's helped with the school improvements and other things, and that's what it can really bring to a small community, is that tax revenue that they didn't have prior to. Some of these wind farms have revenue sources of excess of $300 million a year, right?
Wow.
Well, that's a lot of revenue coming out of that area with a lot of tax base that wasn't there prior,
right?
Which can help out, right?
Most definitely.
There are benefits within that. There's the wind farms, they need everything any other plant needs when it comes to contractors and vendors in the area. We need people to maintain our roads. We need electricians to come help out at the O&M building. We need people to spray our weeds, those things. So all those companies in the local area are going to get business with that wind farm. That's a couple of ways that I've seen, in my experience, that a wind farm can positively affect a small community or a community's economy.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, you can just drive through Woodward when one of them is going up, and, the RV parks and the hotels and, different contractors or vendors like you state. I mean, they're busy and either full, and, sales tax and revenue there is huge just in the immediate, what meets the eye, I mean, just trucks in the parking lot of the hotel is always a positive. I know Northwest Inn, Steve Cole there, I'm in Rotary with him, and he's the manager there, and he always says, whenever there's vehicles in the parking lot, it's a good day. I mean, it's a good time for Woodward, because that means they're eating at our restaurants, the workers are staying in our hotels or RV parks, and it's just great to have that many people, especially like you said, over 1,000 people at some time. It reminds me very on maybe a smaller scale, but still reminds me of whenever CF Industries does their turnaround, I think it's every 4 years, every 3 years. I might be wrong on that, but it's just amazing to see all the different contractors and people come into the area. It helps our community out. Cody, I'm going to ask you kind of maybe more of a controversial question. It's not really meant to be controversial, but it is, just because I know, from the farming and ranching standpoint, my husband's in the ranching industry, and I know a lot of people in that industry. A lot of them say, well, the wind energy people come in and, maybe they damage roads or, fences or whatever else. What would you say to that in a positive way of, there is damage, but how is it your company policy to, replace that or fix it, or is it a case-by-case scenario?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So when it comes to a landowner, right, cattle ranchers, farmers, what have you, when one of these wind farms go in, there's a preemptive development that goes in place where people go out and they meet these landowners and they put contracts in place, right, saying, hey, we want to build a wind farm, we're going to put a road across your land. How will you allow us to do it? If you will allow us to do it, how do we compensate you? And all those things are agreed upon, right? So the problem is that usually that statement is made in like a, hey, we're going to build a road here, and it's going to be here for 20 years, and we'll pay you this. Everything good? Yes. And then the construction crews come in, who's a different contractor, and they may not have, the way that they go about treating the land may not be in line with what the expectation for the landowner was. And
right.
That's where a lot of these opinions come from, and a lot of these like, well, they just destroyed everything and didn't care. And, the intent of the organizations that are building these is to treat the landowners with the utmost respect for their land, and as well as utmost respect for the contract that both the landowner and the business entered into.
Right.
There's not the intent of the wind farms or the company building these wind farms to come in and just to
tear up the land.
Take the land. Yeah, tear up the land. Take the and do any dishonor to the landowner.
Right.
But there are several people and there's several entities that are involved in building these wind farms, and sometimes those things happen. In most cases that I have seen, the landowner is made whole, right? In all the situations that I've handled, I'm probably a little bit better than most. Usually, if I have a landowner complain, I call him, I meet him at the location, we sit and talk about it. I just had that exact same situation happen. We had some erosion damage on the landowner's land from water that run off due to a design flaw, and we met with him, had contractors come out. He was there the whole time. We fixed it for him, and he was happy with what we did.
Right.
Now that doesn't happen on every wind farm. I can only speak for what I do, but it has been a mixed opinion among landowners in regards to how that works, right? And it is controversial. It very much so is, and that's usually the most heated conversations I have is with landowners who are upset with, somebody left the gate open and their cattle got out, or ran across a field that had, fresh seed on it. Now he's got to go reseed, right? We've had that issue, and managing those things. It's never the intent of the contractor or the company to do something like that to a landowner, but it does happen, and
right.
I think it's up to that company to make that landowner whole, or to come to a mutual agreement on how to fix whatever issue may arise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's no different. Wind industry is no different than the oil and gas industry,
exactly.
right? I mean, oil and gas pays a lease to have, or pays the landowner to have their equipment on his land, and they have to go to the back and forth of making sure that they're treating the land correctly and those things. So I agree. There's not too much difference between the two.
No, I mean,
a lot more construction.
Yes.
But, on the front end, but the long term, where I'm at is the plant operation side. It's very similar, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's very similar to the oil and gas industry, really any industry that goes on your land. But at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to communication is what it sounds like. So, just making sure that communication is still open there. So, yeah, I mean, we hear about it a lot, especially as real estate agents, and I know that, that is a controversial thing, but I think that there are a lot of advantages as well. And as long as you're both, you're trying to come to an agreement, then that's really all that matters with that communication. So neat. Okay, well, that's a good perspective, a good insight. I feel like, you've been in Woodward for how long? Living in Woodward for how long now? I should know that. Sold you a house.
6-7 months now.
There you go. Okay. It's something about that. So what is one of your favorite parts about doing business and being a member of the Woodward community or Northwest Oklahoma?
So I don't have a big experience, right? 6-7 months.
Right.
I think my first interaction with anybody in Woodward was with you.
Yes.
And I think that speaks a little bit to what I've noticed within Woodward is people are pretty welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to join Lincoln Baptist Church, get involved there. People were welcoming there. Doing business here seems. I had no issues.
Mm-hmm.
Again, limited experience, right? We worked.
Yes.
We work closely with Cross Timbers, a company there here in Woodward.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've got no issues. So
that's awesome.
We've enjoyed being here. Obviously, kudos for you for putting us in a really nice house. I was telling my wife the other day that we're pretty comfortable, right? This is a pretty nice house. It's on the money. So
yes.
All things
in consideration.
We're pretty happy. So yeah,
that's awesome. Well, Cody, I sure appreciate you being on the local today. You are a local of Northwest Oklahoma. If you live here and you are contributing to the community, you are a local. So we are appreciative of you and all that you do for our community and for the wind industry. And just thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely appreciate it. Thank you.